Salam, hello everyone. Salam alaikum at AI for Africa. Today we have, this is our first virtual event, Artificial Intelligence for Africa. We have people from different countries in Africa. We have South Africa, we have Senegal, we have Tunisia and Algeria. Welcome everyone. I will start with Lavina. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, Lavina.
Hi, good morning. Actually, good afternoon from my end of the world. Really excited to be part of Africa Artificial Intelligence with all the esteemed panelists here today. Really excited about the conversations that we're going to be having. And thank you so much, Doc.
Thank you very much, Lavina. Thanks for being with us today at the first virtual event of AI for Africa. We had another event on the May 19th. Was our first ever event or meeting, I would say, for artificial intelligence for Africa. Michael, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, good morning for you, Murad.
Yeah, good morning. Early morning for me.
early morning. Hi, Lavina. Hi, Lamin. Hi, Mulud. I'm very happy to see you again. And I'm glad to be here to be a part of this wonderful conference. And we will start something good, something big all together. And I hope before the end of this year, we will meet again in Algeria and we start again something else.
Very good. Thank you very much, Heikel. I'm going just to check with people if the sound is good, and then sound is good, and then continue. Please share this live for everyone. I don't know if you have links, guys, like this. You can share it with your community, where we'll have a lot of people that can be with us today. Lamin, good afternoon, Lamin. I know that you are in the afternoon.
Good afternoon, Murad. Good afternoon, everyone.
How are you, Lamin?
I'm good, and you?
Feeling good today?
Yeah, I'm very fine.
Perfect. Mulud, salam Mulud. You're on mute.
Salam. Can you hear me?
Yes, very good.
I can.
How are you, Mulud?
I can still hear the music. The music in the background. It's nice. It's fun. Can you get the music?
Let me stop the music then.
I love it. It's great.
It's a good music. I don't know who put this music.
This is part of the platform. So
yes.
Okay, that's good.
I'm taking it off because it's just
very lively.
Just a little bit. How are you, Mulud?
I'm doing great. I'm really happy to see all your smiley faces around the world, and I'm very, very happy to be part of this group today and for this first conference. Very excited.
Yeah, all this is because that we had a meeting in African startup in Algeria in Algiers, and it was just a small discussion and see where we are. So it's just a small discussion, just an idea, and then I'm really happy that we could get together again. And this is the thing. I mean, if we are in the conferences, or if we attend conferences, it's because that we need to build some ideas, especially for Africa. And AI for Africa is very, very important. This is why we are today here together. So thank you very much for joining us today at the AIFA, AI for Africa 23, the first ever virtual meeting. Of course, this meeting is going to be introduction for other meetings, inshallah, how we say in Algeria, and hopefully we are going to build something for Africa for artificial intelligence. The things are getting very, very fast, especially here in Silicon Valley when it comes to artificial intelligence. Like 2 days ago, I was at the conference of Microsoft Build. Crazy things are happening with the ChatGPT, with the integration of artificial intelligence in search, in different products. Another conference before with IO for Google, same thing. As the CEO said, AI this year is getting everyone busy, and we would like to be busy with artificial intelligence for Africa. Even before another conference with Facebook at scale. So they have a conference, they call it AI at scale. Same thing, like the focus was all about artificial intelligence. I don't know, this is the year of artificial intelligence. This is the booming. I attended a lot of conferences in the past. Everyone was talking about artificial intelligence, kind of science, maybe research, development. But this year, I feel like it's like really the application. It's like AI application. And then we need to take advantage of this. We as African, because we have a big potential. We have a lot of talent, alhamdulillah, and then we need to create something. We need to create. We need to protect our data. We have a lot of topics today, so I'm really happy that our speakers are connected from everywhere in Africa to be able to share their knowledge, their experience, their expertise about artificial intelligence in Africa. I do have a small presentation before giving the or stage to Lavina. So artificial intelligence in for Africa, we started with a small conference or small meetings in May 19th. Before that, I'm going to introduce myself for people who don't or doesn't know me. So for Algerians, I think most of people, they know who is Morad Bouash, especially what I'm trying to do with artificial intelligence in Algeria. So I work at the AI Academy at Intel, and before I was doing kind of a PhD more in academia, 3 postdocs, and working at Yahoo and Verizon. So today is actually I started with the first meeting in May 19th, 2023. It was the first ever meeting where we met, and then we started to create something, especially this program or presentation. We agreed to start with a virtual meeting or virtual conference. This is what we can do for now, as everyone is in his or her country. So we'd like to get together and try to share with you whatever the expertise and experience that we have, and then try to, just to brainstorm. So all these meetings is kind of brainstorming, trying to find anything that we can deliver to our continent, Africa. So this is the first virtual conference for artificial intelligence for Africa. The program today, so we have people from Tunisia, Senegal, Algeria, South Africa, Kenya, Djibouti, Ivory Coast. Hopefully I didn't make any mistake or putting the pins on the countries. I tried to make it like really seriously. I took my time. and hopefully I didn't do any mistake. And to see the distribution, I love it. Hey, Kel, what do you think about this distribution for the first team of AIFA?
I think we should be more involved inside Africa. I saw
Inside.
Congo, Congo, Zambia, Nigeria, all our sisters, our Madagascar. So we have to involve more these countries, Egypt, and to be a part of this organization.
Yeah, for sure. We are extending. We are welcoming everyone from Africa to join AIFA. We will be very proud. We will be very happy to share whatever we can. This is just to serve our continent, Africa. So as Heikel said, yes, we have a distribution in the coast. This is what the pattern. If I take the AI model, is going to be kind of a very good result. But we would like to get something inside Africa or Central Africa, really in the deep in Africa. So people from all these countries, you are really welcome to join us at AIFA, and then hopefully we'll meet you or see you soon in Algeria or any country part of this network. Lamine, what do you think about this distribution? I see that you wanted to say something.
Okay, I think it's something providential because it's around all Africa. It's a good sign for us, for the organization. That's my point of view.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Lamine. Yes. So the program today. So our schedule today is the following. So I actually did the opening. I'm going to give the stage to Lavina Ramkison from South Africa, and the topic is going to be Africa AI, future and impact use cases, and then Heikel. So we have some modification of the program. Heikel Adrien from Tunisia is going to talk about the impact of artificial intelligence on the startup ecosystem. Same thing. It's really good topic. Lamine will take the stage from Senegal, AI ethics and the regulation. I think we need to talk a lot today about the ethics of AI. Very important. Mouloud Khalif from Algeria is going to talk about AI promises, ethics, and human rights. Time to open Pandora's box. Mohammed Diang, I don't know, Lamin, do you have any information, or is he going to join today?
So I have sent him a message. I had him yesterday. He was supposed to be here. So
Okay.
I think he will join us.
If you can send him the link again, maybe he's struggling to find the link in his emails, because I send you a lot of emails. But this is the way how we do things in US. It's like marketing. So Mohammed Diang from Senegal, he's going to talk about how to scale AI initiatives through community building. We have two other people from Tunisia, Mohammed Makki and Mohammed Dia. Sorry for both of you. We added the presentation, and I know that it's very, very important. It's just I did through the ranking through people who were interested. So, and we don't have a lot of time. I don't want to stay for a long time on live. We can do whatever we want on, in person in a conference, but live it's a little bit tricky. People they are getting a little bit fatigued from the presentations and being in live meetings. So I want to respect the time of everyone. So digitalization and data generation, very, very important topic. When we talk about artificial intelligence, we need to talk about digitalization and data generation, or la numérisation. And then also we have another topic about the AI net generation, digital assets, and funding sources for the sport industry, which is also a very good use case that can be very good. If Mohammed is not going to be part of this presentation, we can, Haikal, if you can connect with either Mohammed Makki or Mohammed Hiya to present today. With that, I will give so Lavina is going to give us more about Africa AI future. Go ahead, Lavina.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. I'm just going to ask you, Doc, to kind of keep me in check with time. Please, by all means, feel free to tell me when my time is up. Because as you said, and rightfully so, there is so much for us to actually have a conversation around. And, this is a good segue for us to kind of get started, right? So again, just really happy to be here, really happy to be part of this conversation, and welcome everyone to AI for Africa. And, the typical conversation that we've had thus far has been, what is artificial intelligence? Today, I kind of want to swing it around a little bit and kind of actually ask a different kind of question, because I think most of us here understand what is AI. The kind of question that I'm going to flip around and say is, can AI exist without any human intervention? That's the first question. The second question is around human existence. Is it coming closer to the end or not? And these are kind of really bold questions. We've obviously seen the different kind of hypes that have really popped up in 2023. And that's purely because of, the likes of generative AI that has allowed for AI to become a lot more accessible. With that, we kind of really navigate into two different spaces. Those two different spaces are the different examples of what AI is, and those really include, things like your chatbots, like robots, like, deep learning, like neural networks, like autonomous vehicles, and the rest of it. So there's a whole host of things that kind of get bundled up together as part of the bigger picture of what AI kind of does embody. We know typically that it goes through three different cycles. One is called ANI, the other is called AGI, and the other is ASI. ANI is the narrow intelligence, ASI is the super intelligence on the extreme end, and then the middle one is AGI, which is the more general intelligence. And through the different reiterations of that, we have fundamentally two different types of testing to determine where in that progress AI actually sits. And with that, it's either on the sentient side, which is the ASI side of things, which means that it has emotions, feelings, consciousness, and it has a way of actually behaving very much more like humans do. And then the second kind of test is around the adaptability around its environment. So, can it actually give context to the physical world that it is actually existing in? And those are the two kind of really big indicators of what types of AI is out there. We know, for example, around the sentient conversation, we've had ChatGPT, AutoGPT, and all these other nice, wonderful things coming in, where it's taken, things that we normally do as humans, like writing, composing, a voice and coding. And it's taken all of that and automated it to a very quick degree for us. On the other hand, we know that, for example, self-driving cars are and have been quite a hype for a long time. And that's sort of the next reiteration of where to next for us in this evolutionary step. So, as we delve into the different examples, in particular to Africa, one thing that I'd ask everyone to keep in mind is the unexpected direction that we have taken AI into, and the unexpected direction that AI has taken us as humanity into. For me, it's also largely founded on the speed at which all of this is actually culminating into, and really got me thinking around what is our base. And our base as humans has been around language, and having the ability to have another intellectual being in our environment that can mimic our language really well, if not even better than we can, is obviously some form of, let's pause and, rethink how we're actually engaging. So some of the examples that we've seen is, and as I mentioned, is around autonomous robots and drones. We've seen a large use case in Africa around agriculture and manufacturing, given the fact that we have such a large, vast access to vacant land, to very fertile land. And these are things that we need to start really focusing a lot more energy and attention into. We've seen, or I did anyway, 8 years ago, if not 9, a 16-year-old that literally developed an AI sort of leaf analysis and prediction model for his grandmom in her farm, and helped her to survive through that drought period, as well as the local community. And this was something that was happening back then, and the extent to where we are right now is it's becoming a lot more accessible. Things like, your insurance gets attached to it, things like expected crop yielding, things like weather prediction and weather forecasting, all these different kind of elements start coming together to kind of really give us a better indication of where we could be. The other huge issue is around an economic sort of factor, which is in Africa, it's determined by the World Economic Forum that I think by 2030, we're going to be importing more food than we actually grow locally. So let me say that again. We're going to be importing more food than we actually grow. Now, for me, that is a huge indicator that, we need to utilize technology again to the best ways possible. So things like vertical farming, things like, AI, drones, IoT devices and the rest of it all need to start coming together very quickly to be able to help circumvent some of these issues that we see. And I've kind of touched on this a little bit earlier on. Another example that we would see a large degree in terms of uptake within an Africa context is around optimization. That optimization is really around your decision-making process. So So we know ideally AI has two purposes to serve. One is around automation, and the other is around decision making. So automation is generally around the optimization of tasks that are generally human driven but very mundane, and we've seen some of those uptakes already in sort of taking place across the continent. On the decision-making side, this is quite an interesting one for me because, again, it's the balance between man and machine, and where exactly do we draw the lines with that? The master manipulation of our language that's being held at the moment is really one that allows us to reflect on the decision-making. So how much of power are we actually allowing AI to have? And how much of power in terms of the intimacy of our relationship are we allowing it to have with us? And, this definitely then spurs a whole different conversation of when exactly is this D-Day that's dawning upon us. One of the other really exciting things I sort of see within Africa context is around drug discovery, but not only just the discovery, but also just from a health data perspective. We know that ideally in Africa, we have only 2% of health data actually captured. And what does that then mean? That means that we have a large opportunity to go ahead and utilize this particular sector for understanding what African DNA actually is, what does that look like, and as we gravitate into this whole personalized medication, we have the different iterations of pre-diagnosis and after diagnosis sort of cycle that you can live in, and with that, we have the opportunity again from beginning to end to really get involved. So I've seen things like telehealth medicine. I've seen things around, chatbots. I've seen things around understanding, X-rays and having to better predict and faster predict. So again, Africa as a whole, if I asked you the question, how long does it take on average in Africa for an ambulance to be dispatched, you would be really surprised. It's up to 7 hours is our average, 7 hours. Now that in itself is insane. We don't have the luxury of that time frame, and I think that AI would actually help to bridge that gap really, really well. Another example is definitely around quantum simulation, and this is where we start talking about the integrations of different technologies that are starting to come through. So the likes of artificial intelligence with quantum computing, the likes of artificial intelligence with blockchain, the likes of AI together with AR and VR. And the likes of that. But, in terms of just what we've spoken about, these are the different sort of use cases that we see coming through. In terms of the prediction, I think the prediction for us as Africa is that we get to reset our identity, which is long-term coming. We get to own that, and we get to determine how close and how near and to what shape we actually want this to actually take. AI has the ability to obviously have a large, volume of economic disruption. We've seen that, and we've seen the uptake during COVID, and that has definitely sort of given us a lot of hope, as well as discomfort at the same time. This is again where we have to really go in and understand what is our value as humans, and what is the value of technology itself, right? And how can we enhance this entire interaction? We run the risk, especially in Africa, and this is something I'm super passionate about, is leaving no man behind. And through economic disruption, we can and we possibly, have a large privy to leaving people behind in this whole digital transformation that we're going through. And we simply cannot afford that. I mean, we know, and we've walked through for many, many years in Africa around what this impact could look like on a physical realm. Now, this is something we all here as part of AI for Africa definitely do not want to see repeated in the digital realm either. We know as well in terms of, the most spoken about topic when we speak around AI is the loss of employment. And, to that within the Africa context, again, I believe that we have the opportunity to reinvent ourselves in different ways, in different mindsets. Again, a reminder that we're the youngest continent to date, average age of 18.8 years. And, that again speaks to the potential of our applications of AI itself within the continent. Another example is around negative social impact. We know, for example, when we talk about digital nudging and when we talk about this entire engagement around social media, it has invaded our spaces to such a large degree. Who today is never on their phone, is never on a social media app? Who knew that content influencers was going to be a thing as a full-blown on career? And, all of these things, again, are allowing the steps of AI or any form of technology to get closer and closer to us as a proximity and the way that we function. So this whole dependency and the need to always be online all the time really gets immersed and really gets highlighted. And again, simple things in Africa like connectivity becomes such a key issue, where we don't have reliable energy sources, we don't have reliable electricity, we don't have every citizen that is actually connected to the internet. And these are just some basic things that we need to get in place before we actually even go full on in terms of the adoption of AI itself. And just in terms of some of the sort of key points that I've kind of spoken about, and I'm sure there's lots because I'm trying to rush through for time's sake. But again, just to reiterate, humans, we love the drama, we like it, we want it, we need control, we want the power, but then on the flip side of it, we want an easier life, we want to have flexibility, we want to have creativity, and the whole debate around, is it a cost of intellect, is it the cost of data, is it the cost of energy, that really sort of comes through and gets highlighted. And again, the whole digital nudging and how far and how wide we actually allow for that to happen is something that becomes really, really important and becomes critical. So, in terms of just wrapping all of this up, I guess, if we could turn back time, what would you do differently? So if I had to ask each and every one of you right now, right at this moment, this nanosecond, if you could turn back time from a technological perspective for Africa, what would you do differently? And if I asked you the same question, if we were in the future, if we were already sitting in 2030, and if you could turn back time and actually then define what we could or couldn't do, you would be surprised at the amount of answers that you actually get. And it really speaks again to something that I am passionate about, which is the ethical side, and you're going to hear lots about it from my colleagues to follow. And that is, we have an opportunity. That opportunity is right now. Right now, you get to redefine. And there's a saying that I am Africa, and Africa is me, and that is so true. And especially now, because we don't have the luxury of turning back time. We don't have the luxury of missing this nanosecond to make that change. So I implore each and every one of you to really look at the impactful use cases that you can drive forward. And, again, we all are here as part of Africa AI, and we really wish that you would join this journey. And with that, I think I'm just going to pause right there and take any questions.
Thank you very much, Lavina. Let me see if we have questions. We can get the questions at the end of the session, but please, if you can hear us, if you have questions to Lavina, I can take one of those questions very quickly if you want.
I hope I was all right for time, Dr. Murad.
We're good. We're good. Thank you very much, Lavina. We are really good. Please post your questions if you have some questions. Chips in human brain. What's next for me? We have a person here who's talking about Elon Musk, FDA in the US, chips in the human brains. What's next from artificial intelligence?
I love this question,
Thank you very much.
because it really speaks to the next evolutionary stage that's coming, right? So ChatGPT and, the likes of generative AI is the initial touch points of AI itself and the actual potential of it, right? And, chips in human brain, apparently this has been FDA approved already, and the rest of it, again, I would say as a human right, you still have a choice in terms of how invasive, or for a lack of better word, how intimate you wish AI to get involved with yourself. Where to next with AI? Absolutely, it's going to become to a point where you can't tell one from the other anymore. Whether that's from a response, whether that's from a conversation, whether that's from an entire presentation, or even from just a voice, right? Because we know that deep fake and the rest of it are there. So, where to next? We're going to see ourselves thinking something and it actually then typing it or actually speaking it out to us. We're going to gravitate more into a point where we're going to become singularly dependent on one particular AI model itself, where that becomes our sort of base for everything that we do. So almost like a personalized assistant that you can call your own. And behind that would sit an entire understanding of who you are and all of your behaviors that get attached to it. So, for example, you'll be, speaking everything, and it will automate everything for you on the back end. So freeing up a lot more of your time. You're going to be monitored 24/7, blood pressure, sugar, this, that. You're going to understand from a nanotech perspective what's inside you, what's not inside, what's working, what isn't working from a healthcare perspective. So yeah, I think, the interface into the human brain is one that's going to allow for us to understand a lot more physically about who we are. So yeah, hope that that helped answer that.
Thank you very much, AI Mom. We'll keep other questions. Actually, we have other questions, but we keep them for the Q&A session. But thank you very much for your presentation. It was great. Next, before to go next with Haikal, let's welcome Muhammad Diang, who is coming from Senegal. Muhammad, I don't know if you can hear us, but you are on mute. If you can tell us something. How are you, Muhammad?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm doing great.
Well.
And you?
Good. Thanks for
Thank you for
joining us,
inviting me.
Muhammad.
I'm very happy to be here, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you. With that, I'm going to ask Haikal to be on the stage. Thank you very much, Lavina. Haikal, good afternoon. How are you, Haikal?
I'm good, and you? How are you?
Good. The stage is yours.
Okay, so I didn't have a presentation, but I will talk about the impact of the AI in startups in general. So I will just introduce myself quickly. I'm the CEO of Africanda, an innovation center based in Tunisia. And we teach people to become data scientists, architect big data, and we help startups to develop their project with AI. So when we talked about this innovation in Algeria with all together, we thought about the impact of AI and what is the impact of AI in the world. And where we know today, like AI is rapidly transforming the world, and the startup ecosystem is not an exception. So to develop a new product, new services, and to improve existing ones and automate tasks, AI is being used for all the ecosystem in startups. So we can see exactly the number of benefit for startups. And for me, this example are coming from the startups that we are in Tunisia and in France too, because all of them coming from Africa, we help them to develop their market on their project in Europe or in the US. So, for example, the first thing is to increase efficiency. We know that AI can automate tasks that are currently done manually, so freeing up time, resources for other activities. We can be improved decision making. We know that the AI can be used to analyze large amounts of data and identify patterns that will be difficult or impossible for humans to see. For example, in the biotech, in IoT, or in the health sector. And for example, we have this kind of issue can help startups to make a better decisions about the product development, marketing, or for example, to help some doctors. About this decision making, we have the improved of customer service. So the AI and machine learning in general, like chatbot and virtual assistant, can provide 24/7 customer support, and they can help the people. They can do something better than human. So maybe it's by ethic. On I will let Lamin after talk about it, but maybe it will be dangerous for us. But if they can help the startup and the ecosystem, we will be happy. So most of our target in AI can be personalized and can improve some services for individual customers. So, for example, about the engagements, the satisfaction, so we can get the feedback. And if we talk about AI, we can talk about the lower costs. We know that the AI and machine learning can reduce the costs associated with manual processes. So it will be less expensive, and for the customer support, we can minimize the human errors. And for the startups, it's a new opportunity. So AI is opening new opportunities for startups in a variety of industries. For example, AI is being used to develop a new medical treatment, create personalized educational experience, and improve customer service. I'm focused more about customer service because most of the startups, when they want to develop their idea or their project, they need the feedback. So they are not developing something for nothing. They are developing something to do business, to create something new. And the AI can minimize some errors, the human errors or the brain errors. So we are here to working with the AI and to use this new technology to be involved in this kind of innovation. And also, we have a lot of challenge with AI. So we can see the growth of AI and the evolution. It's changing the landscape. And now the startups need to be aware of the challenges they face in order to succeed. Some key challenges, because we are talking about the impact of startups, and we need to consider for the startups which kind of K they need to succeed. So the AI can be expensive to develop and implement. And you know, Murad, you in the Valley, we are working with Intel, that how much it costs to develop something about the AI, because it requires a significant investment in time, in money, and resources. And the startups, most of them, the early stage, needs to make sure that they have the resources necessary to develop and implement the AI solutions that are effective and efficient. Two of them. The AI can be based. So AI systems are trained on data, and if that data is based, the AI system will be based as well. So the startups need to be aware of the potential for bias in their AI systems and take steps to mitigate it. We're talking about the disruptive things. So the AI can automate tasks that are correctly done by humans, of course, and this can lead to job losses. So startups need to be aware of the potential for disruption and be prepared to adapt their business models about their target. And of course, the AI can be difficult to regulate because it's a complex technology. So the startups need to be aware of the regulatory landscape and make sure that they are compliant with all applicable laws and regulations. So we have to be involved and to be sure that the startups where is developed about the country, if they have a law, if about the regulation is in they have the same keys for the government. I can take, for example, the Startup Act, the law in Tunisia. So they are helping the startup, and most of them are using AI to develop their resources or their ideas. So, despite these challenges, AI can help startups to develop new product, as I said before, services to market or a new country. So, to succeed in the future, types and advices for startups, and they are looking for to adopt the AI. So, for me, don't try to do too much too soon. So start by implementing AI in a small, controlled way with a POC or with a PhD. We can help you to learn about AI and identify the areas where it can be most beneficial to your business. The partners. So, for example, most of the startup are looking for data scientist, architect, big data, or data analyst. But if you don't have the in-house expertise to develop it and implement the AI solutions, the partner, as a university, as a company, that does. So it will give you access to the expertise and resources that you need to succeed. So it's a win-win challenge and a win-win business. And of course, we have to be patient because AI is a complex technology and it takes time to develop and implement AI solutions. So don't expect to see a result overnight. You have to be patient, persistent, and you will eventually reap the rewards of AI. Most of them, when the startups are developing something with AI, they need it quickly. So you have to be patient and to be involved in your project to see, okay, it's a complex technology and how I can use it to get the target that I need. So we have a lot of example about AI and how it being used to develop in many fields. For example, the insurance. So AI is being used to automate tasks such as claims processing and fraud detection. Most of them they are used in China and Japan and now in the US and in all the country. So this is leading to increased efficiency and reduced costs for insurers. This is the first example. The second, as I said before, healthcare. So AI is being used to develop new drugs and treatments, as well as to improve the diagnosis and treatment of disease. This is the leading to better outcomes for patient and lower cost for the healthcare system. And I can use the example for with an NGO, the Brazzaville Foundation, that we help and we are still helping them to to uh, to fight against the fake drugs that it impact directly 800 or a million of children that they are died every year due to this problem. So we are using AI to see which kind of fake drugs can impact the young people or the mom who are pregnant. So We can use, for example, the finance. So we talked about the detect fraud in insurance, but the AI is being used to detect fraud, manage risk, and make investment decisions in finance. So most of the bank today, they are using data scientists, they are using the data analysts to secure the financial institution. So it's very important for us to see the impact of AI in all of so I talk about this few example of how AI is being used in the startup ecosystem. And as AI continues to develop, it's likely to have an even greater impact on the startup world. Now, in Africa, uh, with our people, with our university, we are doing a great job. So I can see in Tunisia or the country that I visited, I can see the challenges between the university and the incubator inside that they're developing AI. It's like we are not against AI, so it will affect us, but we have to work with this technology and to be a part of this new world. So for me, the impact of AI on machine learning have another topics is job creation in startups. I talk about data scientist, architect, big data as Africanda developed since few years in Tunisia, but AI and machine learning are having a significant impact on job creation in startups. On one hand, we have these technologies are automating many tasks that were previously performed by humans, reducing the need for human labor in certain areas. On the other hand, they are also creating new jobs in areas such as data analyst, machine learning engineer, product development. So it's a closer look of the impact of AI and machine learning on job creation in startups. So the first for me, the job automation. So AI and machine learning are automating many routine and repetitive tasks, freeing up human workers to focus on more creative and strategic work. This kind of this can include tasks such as data entry, customer service, and even some aspect of product development. While job automation can result in some job losses, it can also result in more fulfilling and rewarding work for human employees. The second for me, it's more about the job creation in high tech fields. So AI and machine learning are creating new job opportunities in fields such as data scientists, machine learning engineering, product development, data analysis, architect, big data. This job often requires specialized skills and expertise and can be highly rewarding and well paying. This is particularly true for startups that are operating in the AI and machine learning spaces where demand for skilled professionals is high. So uh, most of the startups at the beginning, when we started 20 years ago, we didn't have the AI technology. Now they are more involved and they are more developing their idea with the data that we can found and we can scrap and we can analyze. So for me, it's a new business opportunities because AI and machine learning are creating new business opportunities for startups as these technologies enable business to automate and streamline their operation, improve their products and services, reach new customers. So this can result in the creation of new jobs, across a wide range of industries as a startup seek to take advantage of these new opportunities. So this is the environment about the impact of AI in the job creation for in the ecosystem startups. We have in the hand the impact of the startups on the the job that we can found inside this ecosystem. But we have the investors. On the role of investors in AI and machine learning startups, it's a critical role. In the success of AI and machine learning startups, we need to provide the capital and support thus businesses to grow and to succeed. And we have some ways that investors are helping to shape the future of AI and machine learning startups. The first thing, of course, it's funding. So investors provide the financial resources that startups needs to develop and bring their products and services to market directly. This includes funding for research and development, so the R&D, the marketing, and other critical activities. One of the critical activities is the law. So maybe it will be ethic or not, but I will let after Lamin talk about it. And it's very important today about the founding, the law by the with the gov. So the first thing is the funding. The second is mentorship. So investors are of experience and expertise to the table and can provide valuable mentorship and guidance to startups as they navigate the challenges of starting and growing a business. So this kind of technology are the role of the investor, and they are showing us that funding and mentorship is very important for the startup ecosystem. And of course, we have the networking opportunities. So the investor are connected in the business community, and they can provide startups with valuable networking opportunities. This can help startups to build partnerships, secure customers, and raise additional funding as they grow. So it's like building bridges between the startup ecosystem and the finance or the investor ecosystem. And you have to be more like to develop a strategy, like a strategic direction. So most of the investor can help the startups to identify their goals and to provide the best strategies to achieve these goals. So it includes advice on market positioning, product development, and more. And of course, we have the exit strategies. So the investors are focused on realizing a return on their investment and can help startups to identify and pursue exit strategies that will maximize the value of the business. You know, the investor are not, it can be a friend or a father or something else, but if he or she will invest, they need something about a return on their investment. So they know, because they are investors, most of them, and they knows how to selling the company, going public, or pursuing the exit strategies. And it's very important because most of them, they are using their startups like their babies. But the most important is not the babies, it's the human who create these startups and how they use the AI to develop the strategy. So for me, the best practices to implement AI and machine learning in startups is a powerful way to drive innovation, improve operations, and achieve long-term success in the marketplace. However, successfully implementing these technologies requires careful planning, a solid understanding of best practices, and to improve your approach. And we need some example, for example, to get this best practice. First, we have to start small, as I said before. So the implementation of AI and machine learning can be complex and a challenging process. So it's best to start small and to focus on solving specific and well-defined problems. This can help you gain experience and build expertise, and can also help you identify and address any challenges or issues that arise. That is a very good point to start small and to get the confidence from the investor or from your coworker. We have to focus on the data quality. We can see that today we have a lot of data, but the quality of your data is critical to the success of your AI and machine learning initiative. So it's important to focus, as I said before, on collecting, storing high quality data. It's important for the health sectors or industry sectors or the edtech sectors. So this can include everything from data cleaning and preparation to data storage and security, and can have a major impact on the accuracy and effectiveness of your AI and machine learning models. So today, most of the data, maybe 70%, we need to not to analyze it, but we need to check if it's very good data for our goals on our target or not. And that's why we have to focus about it. And to focus on this data, we need to partner with some expert. So implementing AI and machine learning can be complex. So it's important to partner with experts, university, company, etc., who can help you design and build effective models, interpret your results, and troubleshoot any issues that arise. This can include experts in data science, machine learning, engineering, and product development, and can help ensure that your AI initiatives is successful. I will add now today the data law, because in the European Union they are creating a new job about how the impact of AI in the startup ecosystem. We have the law of, if this law is not applied correctly with the startup, with their benchmark, with their ideas, with their structure, we can define correctly the target of the startups. So we have to be more involved with our startups on where we want to develop it. So AI and machine learning are rapidly evolving fields. So it's important to evaluate and improve your approach. This can include everything from testing and refining your models to exploring new algorithms on techniques, and can help ensure that your AI and machine learning initiatives remain effective and relevant over time. So most of these keys are important for the best practice, because the impact of AI, if you are seeing the growth of AI and the impact in the ecosystem, we need to be close to this technology to see and to evaluate our approach. So, for me, the key to successfully implementing AI and machine learning in startups is to take a thoughtful strategic approach and to focus on best practices. And most of the startups can take advantage of these technologies to drive innovation, improve operations, and achieve long-term success in the marketplace. But we have to be smart with this new technology and to start small.
Hey, hey, can you just check for the time?
2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So for me, AI is rapidly becoming essential tools for startups looking to gain a competitive edge in today's rapidly evolving business landscape. So this kind of technologies have the power to revolutionize virtually every aspect of a startup operations, from product development and marketing to customer service and operations. However, effectively, AI and machine learning requires a solid understanding of the technology, as well as a strategic approach to implementation. And this included, for me, everything from collecting high quality data, partnering with experts, and refining your approach. So this is the end for me, Murad. I'm sorry if it was long, but I'm very involved in this the impact of AI on the. We can talk a lot of time on 2, 3, 4 hours about the impact on how we can ensure the startup ecosystem to be close to this technology.
Yeah, thank you very much, Heikel. Heikel was one of the people with the Lavina that thought about and believed in this project of network, and this is why I see you passionate about the AI. So thank you very much, Heikel. Heikel
Thank
was
you.
talking about the impact of AI in the startups ecosystem. We do have a lot of questions that I'm going to keep them for the Q&A because we don't have a lot of time. We would like to respect time because it's very important. Without waiting for more time, I'm going to ask Lamin Sar to be on the stage. Lamin, good afternoon or good evening.
Okay, good afternoon. So can I share my presentation?
Sure, yeah.
Let me do that.
So just go to present and then share the presentation.
Just a few minutes, a few seconds.
So is it PowerPoint, Lamin?
Yeah.
Yeah, just go to present and then do slides and then your computer and then just find the path and then you can project that on the screen. Yet I see it here.
Do
I
you?
see it. Yep. Yeah, good.
Okay, thank
Good to
you.
go. Yeah.
So, hi everyone, bonjour à tous. So, thank you, Morad, for taking this leadership of this initiative. Thank you, Lavina, for your great presentation on the AI use cases in Africa, as well as the risk. And thank you, Eichel, for your insight in the impact of AI in the ecosystem of startups. So I'm going to talk about ethics and regulation. So my name is Lamin Sar. I'm researcher in IT ethics, and I'm the co-founder and publishing director of NENA, NENA African Digital Libraries. So NENA is a social-based enterprise which aims to enhance the access and the quality of education. And our mission is to digitize, save, and make accessible the African scientific and literary heritage for Africans at the first time and for the rest of the world. So for my presentation, I'm going to talk about three points. So the first point is I will begin with some concrete cases of ethical issues and dilemmas in AI. And then I will try to answer to the question, what ethics for AI? So when we talk about ethics, what is ethics? So what is the difference between ethics, between regulation, law, and what are the main principle of ethics, the main ethical principle or the main value on AI ethics, and what could be the main ethical principle in developing AI in Africa. So it's a very open question that for which I don't have the good answer, and I ask the question to the community. And the third point of my presentation will be about the approaches for AI regulation. So we see that many countries have adopted AI national regulation strategies, or AI, or are on the point of adopting AI Act. I mean, in the European Union, for example, the last week, the Parliament have examined the AI Act. So I will talk about this point. So about the some concrete case of ethical issues in AI. So, for example, you have heard about the deepfakes videos, music or images that you see on the social media. So you see the image of Donald Trump arrestation, and the image of Macron's demonstration. That's put us in the situation where the 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 boundary between truth is no longer clear. The boundary between the truth and the fake, between the false and the good, and the boundary also between the original one and the copy one. So that's why it's very important in developing AI to take in account the ethical aspects. So you see also, you have heard about the AI which made a song from generated from the voice of Kanye West. The song goes viral on the platform like Spotify, and the author, the person who produced this song, get a lot of money. So it's this kind of ethical issues that AIs in their use can show up. And the other concrete ethical issues or dilemma is autonomous vehicles. So, for example, in situation where the accident is unavoidable, so what to do? Who should the driverless car kill? Should the autonomous vehicle should it kill two person on the road, or should it avoid there's two person with the risk to kill the people in the car? So it's a typical example of ethical dilemma that we need to take into account when developing AI, that we need to take into account when using AI. So the main question is may AI ethics? So it's the real question. So there is some other ethical issues. Lavina have mentioned the automation and the work. You all have seen the study of Goldman Sachs, which mentioned that about 300 millions of jobs could be lost by AI. So we know the AI bias of maybe racism, or the AI bias of the potential error that can be derived from the data. There is also some issues about privacy and personal data, issues about mass surveillance and manipulation. So, for example, if you use deep fake video or image, you can manipulate people, you can cause unfair revolution or something like that. There is issues about cyber criminality, with the extreme use is today to develop ransomware, to do some criminal act. So we know about autonomous weapons, and the main question, the main ethical issue is also about the future of the humanity, as Lavina mentions. Will AI replace man? So at the first time, it may be technological dependence, and then what if we reach the singularity? So will be the beginning of the end of the humanity. So it is this kind of question that we have to take into account with ethics, and then we are going to see how to take into account ethical issues. So how to develop and how to use AI ethically. So before doing that, so we have to define the terms. So, for example, when we talk about ethics, so when we talk about ethics, when we talk about morals, or when we talk about laws and regulations, so there is three similar concepts. So ethics and morals deal about the good or the wrong conduct that people must have in a given situation. So ethics, as we usually say in moral philosophy, so ethics, moral recommends. So moral recommends because moral is a set of principle that guide human being to be good, to make good action. And laws is also a set of a set of rules, as well as morals. So, but the difference between the morals and the laws and regulation is law recommends also, and law sanctions, because there is an arsenal, and jurisdictional arsenal, which punish people who don't follow the rules. So that's the difference between morals and ethics. So between morals and laws. And what is ethics about in the middle of laws and regulations? So morals command, and ethics act. So if you ethics, when we talk about ethics, we are on the concrete action. So we ethics acts according to the value and the moral principle that guide a person. So, for example, if I'm conducted by utilitarian ethics. For example, if I take the example of the autonomous vehicles, so I am in the ethical dilemma, in the situation where the accident is unavoidable. So I have to choose going straight ahead 3%, or moving the car on the on the side, and taking the risk to endure the people in the car. So if I'm utilitarian ethics, so I will my act will be conducted by the desire to save the maximum of people. So the maximum of people. That's what we will see in the different stream of ethical theory. So, for example, we have act-centric ethics. So it's ethical theories which are centered on the act. So, for example, deontological ethics, the act must respect the moral duties regardless of the consequences. So, and we have the utilitarian ethics for which the act must produce the best consequences by maximizing the benefits or the happiness, and the same time minimizing the harm. So, and then we have virtue ethics, which is a kind of agent-centered ethics. So it's a set of ethics where action are guided by the comparison with a virtuous person. So that's there's kind of stream of ethical theories that we use to train AI, to program AI, so that they can be ethical, or so that they use may be ethical. So, and then we have some mixed conception of ethics, so pragmatic ethics, and we have the African ethics of maths. For this ethics action, that the good action should fulfill math. Math is meaning justice and balance with the nature, and the good action must be oriented to the preservation of the order of the nature, of the harmony and the balance of the universe. So that is the fundamental background on which are based the ethics on AI. So, and concretely, what are the ethical principles and values of AI? So it's depends. So, for example, for the OECD, so there is 5 value of ethical principle: inclusiveness, human-centered value and fairness, transparency and explainability, robustness, security and safety, accountability. And for the for the policy recommendations, so they recommend to invest in AI research and development, as well as Eichel have said, and they recommend to foster the digital ecosystem. So for the US Department of Defense, so you have responsibility. The ethical artificial intelligence must be equitable, traceable, must be reliable, and must be governable. So that's the main principle of ethics. So from the US Department and from the OECD. So, and what is the ethical principle and the value from the African perspective? So from the African perspective, the things are under construction. I can say that. So it's just a proposition about some academics and research on what principle we must base our AI development. So some pieces are there. For example, the ethics of maths, which means justice, fairness, and balance. The wisdom of Ubuntu, so which means I am because the other are. The humanity and the brotherhood, which is a very core value in Africa. So the respect for natural order and the environment must be taken into account when we will develop and when we will use AI for in Africa, for example, in regulation or in AI machine learning. So we can also have a principle of reliability and robustness, a principle of common good and a beneficiality, a principle of accountability, and a principle of transparency and explainability. So it's a very open proposition, so that we will have to discuss as researchers, as engineers, and as startups, and all people involved in AI development in Africa. So, and then how when we have a set of principle of ethical principle in which we build our ethical AI. So how to make AI ethical? So there is many approaches of learning ethics to AI. So you have a rule-based system that you know as engineer. So, for example, you have a credit scoring is based on this kind of ethical learning system. So you have machine learning, for example, the moderation of social media. We use the machine learning to teach AI how to moderate, how to recognize a publication or a post with racism or with apologize of crime. And you have the human supervision or imitation learning system, for example, the robotic process automation, in which we teach AI to learn ethics by imitating human representative in calling session, by imitating human maybe leaders in conducting business, by imitating waitress in doing their job. And the other approach, or the other kind of learning AI ethics, is the reinforcement learning. The reinforcement learning, for example, for the car driving, the autonomous vehicles. So we teach them how to be ethics. So with some situation they learn to recognize, and the situation they learn to act, and they receive awards when they have good behavior, and then they can learn to be ethical. So there is the four main ways we teach ethics for AI. So I think it's we need for our African perspective to adapt this about our own ethical principle, and our own realities. So about the regulation, so there is also 6 main approach of regulation. So for example, in Europe, the European Union choose the risk-based regulation approach in the AI Act, which will be presented soon. So there is unacceptable risk. For the unacceptable risk is the AI which will be prohibited by the law, and they will have high risk AI which will be permitted subject under the compliance of the AI authority or other authority, and the minimal or no risk AI which will be permitted. So it's the approach that the European Commission, the European Union have adopted with the AI Act. And what about the approach for our African perspective? So for our African perspective, so we have to choose in a set of 6 approaches, 6 existing approach of regulation of AI. So the first one is ethics guidelines, with producing some guidelines of on how to develop AI, how to use AI. So it's passed by education, by training. It's passed by explaining people what is ethics, what ethical principle you can embed in AI development. And the other approach is the sector specific regulation. So it's not a self-regulation, it is a regulation sector by sector. So some countries will choose this approach. So the third approach is the risk-based regulation that are chosen by the European Union. And you have the self-regulation. So the self-regulation, so until now, is the approach adopted by the US. So maybe it will change quickly. And then you have the hard law regulation, on which the government will have to produce laws that allows or limited certain kind of ethics. And then another approach, the last one, is the international standards and cooperation approach. So the thing is, for this initiative, this kind of initiative, how can we help our government? How can we help our engineers, how our startup to integrate ethics on the AI development, to integrate ethics on the AI use, and for the approach, I think a mix of these different approach will be a good way of solution. So it's my end of my presentation. So thank you for your attention. So if you have some question, I will be happy to give some answer.
Appreciate being with us. Lamine from Senegal was talking about the AI ethics and regulations. We do have a lot of questions too, Lamine. The thing is, we don't have a lot of time. Actually, we have 5 minutes here, so we have a question that I can expose it. My question to the speaker: how can the intellectual property of the product or products and services be guaranteed when applying artificial intelligence?
Okay, can I answer right now?
Yeah,
Or
please. Yeah, you have.
okay,
We have actually 5 minutes before
okay,
going to the
okay,
next speaker.
okay. So to be honest, the intellectual property cannot be guaranteed if there is the AI who produce the product. So, for example, I will give you the example of the next Rembrandt. The next Rembrandt is a painter in Amsterdam, and there is an artificial intelligence that produce the painting by learning the style of the great master Rembrandt, and this painting was being sold about 500,000 of euros. And the question is, who is the author? Is the artificial intelligence who produced the masterpiece? Is the engineer who developed the artificial intelligence? Is the university who launched the program? So there is no response about this question, because the law is not ready. The law don't answer this question. So that's why there is a lot of proposition of regulation to give to the AI the capacity of being author, because in intellectual property law, so only human being can be author. For example, animals cannot be, AI cannot be. So that's the point of the law right now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lamine. I do have a question about the ethics and the regulation. Do you think that a lot of people uh, uh, can maybe take the ethics and the regulation as bothering the artificial intelligence development?
Okay, so my personal opinion is that we need to regulate artificial intelligence if we want to take or to maintain the control. So the things are going so quickly that we can lose lose the control. That's why the question for me is not to make hindrance on the development of artificial intelligence. The thing is, we are reach a certain point that we need to make a little stop to think in what way we are going. So it's very important. For doing that, we need ethics and we need regulation, because if we don't do that, it will be very late sooner.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Lamine. Thank you for your presentation. Lamine presentation was with AI about AI ethics and regulation. We are going to move to another important topic, which is AI promises ethics and human rights. Time to open Pandora's box. And the speaker is going to be Mouloud Khalif. Mouloud, we are going to invite you to be part of the stage. And Lamine, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your presentation. Please stay with us for the next Q&A session. Mouloud. Salam alaikum, Mouloud. You are on mute. If you can, if you can unmute, and then please, I'm asking the speaker
Hi,
to
everyone.
introduce. Thank you. Please introduce yourself before to start the presentation. Like this, people will know the person and will know the topic. Thank you.
It's part of the presentation. Yes. Hello, everyone. Bonjour à tous. Good afternoon. Saludos. Let me try to. As you know, this is my first time to use. Okay, slides. Your computer. Okay. Oh, I need to upload the file. Okay.
You need help, Mulud?
Just bear with me.
Yeah. Do you have you have
So,
PowerPoint? You have Google Slides?
okay.
What type of presentation you have, or PDF?
No, yeah. It's I'm on the path. It's just a little bit slow. Apologize for this.
No problem. Take your time with it. That's fine. So Mulud is going to give a presentation about AI promises, ethics, and human rights. Time to open Pandora's box. And then next is going to be Mohammed Diang from Senegal, how to scale AI initiative through community building. Also a very good topic. And then we can go with the Q&A session. Mulud, do you have the presentation that I can share, or?
Yeah, we go.
If not already, Mulud,
I clicked on it, so it should be sharing.
Okay.
I don't know why it's not.
What browser are you using? Are you using Chrome browser?
Yes, Chrome.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Let me do it again. Slides. Okay, let me do it again. Okay, yeah. It says processing.
Yeah, maybe the slides are.
Is there a reason why it would be so slow? I don't
know. It should be. So when you click present. Okay, screen. Can
you see it?
I don't see it.
I can see slide 1 here in the bottom.
No, I cannot see the presentation. So is it a PPT? Is it PowerPoint?
Yes, it's a PowerPoint.
So when you do present, click in present. Share,
that's what I did. Yeah. Present.
Share the slides, then your computer, right?
Slides. I clicked on it again.
Yeah. Let's see, maybe it's going to show us the presentation.
And should I share screen?
So I think you should share the screen, or maybe another solution that you can send me the slides and then they can project them. This is the only solution that we have. I don't know why it's not working, since it was working for everyone else. So.
Yep.
Sorry for people who are
yes,
following us through the social media. This is a technical issue. We are going to figure out and fix it as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm clicking on slides, and I can see the slides AI for Africa.
Okay.
And when I click on it, I can see it in the bottom next to my face, basically.
So what you can do, there's another solution. Go to slides. Do your computer.
Yeah.
Your computer. And then try to upload it there. And then from my side,
that's what I've been doing, actually. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, I can't see it. I can't see AI for Africa. The two slides that they have here. Oh, okay, I see them. Okay, good. I think we are good. Perfect.
Because that's what I did. Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay, now, okay.
We're good. Go ahead, Mulud. Sorry for the inconvenience.
So how do I move to the next slide? That's the question. Okay, I can see it now.
You just click on the screen.
Okay, sorry for that. All right, so I believe it's going to be a good segue from Lamin's presentation. Thank you, Lamin, for your presentation, and thank you for all my other co-presenters today, Heikel and Mina. So let's go straight to AI prompt. Okay, first of all, my presentation. So I'm basically an engineer by background and worked in business development in many parts of the world. And more recently, I've been basically working as a consultant and advisor in terms of strategy, governance, and policy, mostly in digital strategy, and mostly for disruptive technologies such as AI. So the interesting thing is that this week, just this week, I joined policy network on AI. It's called PNAI. It's under the Internet Governance Forum. And during the first meeting of the working group, we actually had to work on different focus areas. So I made sure that in the Global South section that we had AI for Africa there as one of the focus areas. So there was just a small anecdote. And basically, if we think in terms of promises, my colleagues have already laid out most of them. We all know that AI is at the heart of the so-called fourth industrial revolution. We also know that AI is a different type of technology. It's what we call a general purpose technology, a little bit like fire or electricity, if we look at history. It is also a dual-use technology, meaning that the technology can be used for good things, bad things, can be used for civil applications or military applications. The good thing is that many AI-based tools can help achieve the UN SDGs, for those of you who are interested in sustainable development. However, we've seen over the past 4 or 5 months since ChatGPT, OpenAI launched ChatGPT publicly, we saw that generative AI is creating a lot of new opportunities, and we were going to see that they create also many new challenges. So what kind of promises do we have? One thing I must also emphasize that AI is not something new. If you look at a little bit of a history of AI, artificial intelligence goes back to the late 50s, early 60s. But obviously, in terms of theory, because they didn't have the languages that we have today, they didn't have Python, they didn't have the computing power that we have today, they didn't have the algorithms that we have today. But AI, in terms of conceptual, did exist back then. So what is the promise? Acceleration of scientific discovery, improved disease prevention, diagnosis and treatment. We saw that AI was used, for example, for vaccine development, cleaner and safer transportation, sustainable management of resources, optimized use of pesticides for agriculture, for example, but also real-time cyber and digital security and sustainable public services. So AI is front and center. I'm sure you've heard this. Sundar Pichai, Google CEO, said that AI is one of the most profound things we're working on as humanity, and it is more profound than fire, electricity, the other general purpose technologies that I mentioned. So basically, we see that AI's adoption is uneven. It is uneven across sectors and also geographically speaking across countries and regions. For several reasons. One is that AI is useful and it is deeper where patterns can be revealed and when data sets, reliable data sets do exist. My colleagues mentioned that several times. And this is how efficient models, AI models, can be built to enhance decision-making or automation. So basically, the adoption has been uneven around the world and across sectors as well. So yes, AI can do many things. It can help fight disease, for example, it can help doctors, but as we've seen over the past years, AI can also lead to deeper injustice, inequality within the same country, but also across the world, obviously, can lead to unemployment and can lead to harm as well. So how do we deal with this? Now, let's go back to Greek mythology. And I'm sure you've heard about the story of Pandora. We always use this, right? Pandora's box, la boîte de Pandore. And let me tell you a little bit about this myth or this story. So Pandora's name means all gifts. So this lady was actually designed by Greek god Zeus and sent to punish humankind for accepting the gift of fire from Prometheus. And Prometheus was a rebel titan who championed humankind. Prometheus had a brother, Epimetheus. They were very different. Prometheus was the serious guy, basically. He was the forethinker. He had foresight. He was always worrying and thinking ahead, anticipating. Unlike his brother, who was carefree. Epimetheus was carefree. His name means after thinker or hindsight. So these are the two components of humanity, if you want. Okay, this is the story. So Prometheus warned his brother, but Epimetheus was so charmed by Pandora that he only realized his terrible error after, when she opened the box, which was actually a jar. And that jar contained all the bad things for humanity. So it was too late. So this is the myth that many people are using today to warn us regarding AI. So is AI some type of Pandora's box? And if it is, how can we manage the curse of opening the box? How can we avoid the curse? And should we be more Promethean? It means anticipating and worrying, be skeptical, or more Epimethean, meaning not worrying and just happy and just be in love with what AI brings to the world. So this is basically the question we need to keep in mind. Now, AI, bear in mind, AI systems bring many, many, many challenges. And they bring complexity, they bring opacity. Okay, we always talk about a black box. They are often unpredictable. They can also show some autonomous behavior. And these create risks. These challenges create many risks: safety, human rights, fundamental rights risks. They create legal uncertainty, mistrust as well, and some type of fragmentation. So, for instance, the EU, my friend Lamine mentioned that the EU has decided to use a risk-assigned framework for dealing with AI, because they believe that AI is good. It's fundamentally good for citizens, for business, for everyone, for the public interest, but it also creates risks. So they have a risk level, and soon we will have an EU AI Act that will probably have a larger impact. You may have heard about this concept called the Brussels effect. When the EU came up with the GDPR, the General Data Protection Rights, it had more impact than just in Europe, because any company that was dealing with EU citizens or had business in the EU had to comply with those rules. So we might see a Brussels effect even for the AI Act. So we're dealing with gaps, and we want to look at these gaps in terms of risks and in terms of filling those gaps. So basically, if we go back to history, 1942, if you are a science fiction reader, you may remember Isaac Asimov, who was a very prominent writer, a science fiction writer. And he came up with these 3 laws of robotics. Okay, so that was before even AI. But we can use that as an inspiration. First rule is robots must not harm humans. So imagine it could be AI, right? Number 2, second rule is they must obey humans unless it violates rule 1. And the rule 3, they must protect themselves unless it violates rule 1 and 2. So these are the 3 laws of robotics. But again, remember, this is, interestingly, were used, I'm going to show it a bit later, an AI conference later. So what kind of gaps do we have? What kind of gaps are we looking at? Well, first, human-centric, ethical, and trustworthy. Is AI human-centric, ethical, and trustworthy? It means, are we putting humans first when planning, designing, building, training, deploying, and governing AI systems? Now, Lamine, my colleague Lamine mentioned bias, and Heikel mentioned bias, or the issue of bias. So bias, discrimination, and fairness. Biases are basically inserted in the data. And because we train AI system with this data, these biases are propagated to the real world. So this is a major issue. We use systems that are biased and that basically replicate this bias in the real world with their decisions. We also need to have transparent and explainable decisions, so we can basically explain to a user why the system was basically able to come up with that decision. We also have gaps in terms of surveillance, data rights, and privacy. AI has been used to monitor and profile behaviors, often without consent. So we have to be aware of that. Also, many of us want to use our right to be forgotten or just to remain anonymous. And this is a major gap. Another one is manipulation, freedoms, and democracy. Fake news are being produced, even more so now with generative AI. These fake news can discourage individuals, organizations, or even influence elections. So we have also content moderation laws and rules that can also diminish our freedom of speech. Other AI gaps: life, dignity, peace, and security. So, for instance, many policing and justice organizations around the world are playing with AI systems. So policing and justice can be delegated to algorithms. In the military, we know that some militaries are already using or testing systems that are autonomous and then can make life and death decisions. So that creates a major problem as well. And in terms of work, automation, and digital welfare, I think Heikel mentioned that as well. AI could massively replace or displace jobs. And yes, it happened before in the history of mankind. We had, again, this is the 4th industrial revolution. So we had 3 revolutions before that. The difference is these previous revolutions happened in decades, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 decades. This new revolutions is much faster. So how is the market going to react? How is the job market going to adapt? That's still to be seen. Social protection could be outsourced to algorithm, and many also are calling for a UBI, a universal basic income, because many of the jobs that we know today are going to disappear, and some people will not be able to be upskilled or reskilled. So remember the 3 laws of Asimov, okay, the robotic laws? Well, they inspired some experts, some AI experts and actors from the private sector and from the academic sector as well. In 2017, at the Asilomar conference on beneficial AI, they came up with 22 or 23 different principles. So you can see here different sectors: research, ethics and values, and longer term issues. And these are basically from the US, but they brought in at that conference experts from around the world. So it's something that we need to look at in Africa, because as Amin mentioned, as Heiko mentioned, as Lavina mentioned, as everyone mentioned, we have specific cultures and values in Africa, and our ethics and our morals are deeply ingrained in the cultural specificity. So why not have our own African principles based on our own values? I also need to mention that at Stanford, just close to where you are, Murad, I'm sure you're aware of this. Stanford has an Institute for Human-Centered AI, and each year they publish an AI index report. Very, very interesting report that is there to visualize all data relating to AI. And this is a tool that it can enable decision and policymakers to make the right decisions, to push for an AI that is responsible, that is ethical, and that is human trustworthy. So something that we need to look at as well. Maybe we also need in Africa to maybe have different universities collaborate together, create a center, and why not publish an African AI intelligence, an AI index report for Africa. By the way, AI also means African intelligence. Okay, so it's not just artificial intelligence. So how do we deal with these gaps, and how do we unpack Pandora's box without releasing the curse, releasing the bad genie? So I believe we need 3 things, and Lamine touched on that as well. First is awareness and training. So awareness and training, both for human resources, for people, but as well for the algorithms. So having the awareness that bias is there, that we need to clean the data, that we need to compensate for the bias, and that we need to use also our own data. We cannot continue using AI systems that were designed in the US or in Europe in Africa with data that comes from other countries. We need to use our own, build our own data sets. Self-regulation, and Lamine explained that very well. So self-regulation is basically what the industry is doing, guided by standard setting organization like IEEE or ISO standard organizations like that. But we cannot count just on the industry to regulate itself, and I will give you an example in a minute. And obviously we need, by the way, self-regulation is what lawyers call soft law, and hard law is regulation, whether at national level, at the regional level like EU, or at the national level like what China did recently, what Brazil is doing, what Belgium is doing, and other countries as well. So we need a combination of all 3: awareness and training, self-regulation, and hard regulation as well. This is the way to go. Now, interesting, you may have read this happened recently in March. After ChatGPT and Bard and the race to the next generative AI came to the world. And by the way, these tools, and I'm sure Murad will explain, can tell us more about this. These tools existed before. I mean, the technology existed before. The only difference is that OpenAI made it public. So it became public and it became accessible to almost everyone. So that's the main difference. And then the race to get to the next level started with obviously the release of GPT-4 and the future versions that will come later. So an open letter signed by thousands of people, actors in the AI ecosystem, academics, technologists, and so on, to call for on all AI labs around the world to immediately pause for at least 6 months the training of any AI system more powerful than GPT-4. And if they did not comply, then they would ask governments to get involved. So this is organized by the Future of Life Institute and was signed by engineers from most of the big techs around the world. And by the way, this open letter was also signed by Elon Musk. Why would I say, by the way? Well, most of us know probably that Elon Musk was the co-founder of OpenAI, which he has left since. And he even said that he has left OpenAI because it became closed AI and not what it was before. But originally, he was one of the co-founders. And then, talking about OpenAI, Sam Altman, who is the CEO, the 38-year-old Stanford dropout CEO of OpenAI, testified recently. It was last week. He testified in front of the U.S. Senate, some sort of subcommittee, and he was grilled by U.S. senators, and he was asked many questions. And it was very interesting because he seemed to be asking for more regulation. He was like bringing the hot water and throwing it to the senators and saying, "Okay, this is the baby. Just find out what to do with it." And when they asked him questions about the future of work, IP, copyright issues, safety and privacy, he was not very interested in. I mean, he was like, "Oh no, it's not really an issue." You can actually watch the testimony on YouTube if you're interested. And he also mentioned that AGI. Remember, Lavina mentioned that, difference between narrow AI, between artificial general intelligence, AGI, and artificial super intelligence, okay, ASI. So he basically said that AGI will be here in 20 years, very casually. So some of the lawmakers actually asked him if he had already opened Pandora's box. It was one of their questions. And the second interesting thing is that in the US, he asked for more regulation. He asked the government to intervene. And he even asked the US to push for an international regulatory body for AI. But this week in Europe, he's meeting with European regulators, and he's warning them against too much regulation because he knows that the EU AI Act is on its way. So that's an interesting poster, okay, depending where you are. So, and some people think that he's asking for regulation just because he wants to slow down the competition or something like that. That's what some people think. Who knows? In conclusion, I would like to say that maybe there's no reason to be skeptical or to be optimistic. We need to be both. We need to be both skeptical and optimistic on AI. We need to be. We don't have to be in love with AI. We don't have to hate AI. We just have to be pragmatic, and just be intelligent. And maybe that's the African way to do this. To be just pragmatic and intelligent. AI systems should be designed to solve Africa's local and regional problems. And we don't need to become consumers of AI systems that were designed in the West. We need to design our own systems, to solve our own problems, and to take into account our own specific needs. And lawmakers worldwide, including in Africa, should be wary of regulation. They should adopt smart, focused, and precise regulation that will adapt control of AI through use cases. So not regulate the technology in itself or the research, but regulate more the use cases, those that have the highest potential for societal harm. And again, AI means artificial intelligence, but it also means African intelligence. So I believe in our intelligence. We have the talent, we have the capacity. We basically need to start working together, because as the old African proverb says, if you want to go fast, you can go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So together we can do it. This is the beginning. I want to thank Morad for the initiative and all my co-presenters and my friends. And over to you, Morad.
Thank you very much, Mouloud. It was a really inspiring presentation, great presentation about the philosophy of artificial intelligence in general, and also connecting the history. Indeed, yes, it's old technology. I mean, relatively old, late 50s, early 60s, I think, and because of the lack of compute, essentially. That we are waiting until today to see all this revolution. I mean, since the deep learning, where we saw the big shift, I would say. Thank you very much, Mouloud. There's a question that maybe we can start with it. I know that we don't have a lot of time. So this is a question from Ryan. Thank you very much, Ryan. How can we protect the IP? Maybe we can go in philosophical way of being used to train. Essentially, how we can use how people that can use all this arts and the things that they are developed through the creativity of the human being, and keep this right or the copyright of them and use it through artificial intelligence to the creation of something new. I used to attend one of the Google conference where there's a person working at Google creating Da Vinci, one of the arts that Da Vinci created with a new art, which is very similar to it, but it's not. It's through the artificial intelligence. So what's your thought, Mouloud, about the shift of creativity from the human being, and how is going to be the impact? I did one of the posts in my LinkedIn last time about the AI is good, that it's going to create more, it's going to have more creativity, but it's going to stop a lot of creativity of the human being.
Yeah, that's a mixed bag. That's a very interesting question. It's a tough question, and I can answer at two different levels. First of all, is AI, those AI systems, algorithms, generative AI, are they denying the rights, the IP rights of the rightful owners? And that was one of the questions that was asked to OpenAI CEO by the senators, and he had no answer, because I mean, ChatGPT wouldn't be what it is if the system didn't have access to all this, all this data, all this information that for part is copyrighted. So how do you compensate those people? You've been using their creativity, their knowledge, and so on. So that's an issue that has still to be solved. That's not an easy way, but there's no easy way. There's no easy answer. The other part of your question is, and it's more generally about intelligence and about cognitive abilities. So whether you're a researcher or you're an artist, you're using your cognitive ability to create something unique. Now, if you take that away from humankind and you give it to a Midjourney, just to name that, right? Aren't you diminishing the cognitive ability of humans? So what's in it for our future? It's I don't know, it's a bit scary, to be honest. It means that anyone will be able, or in the future, to create a unique piece of art using AI. But is it ours? So everything that is hard, everything that was hard in the past is going to be easy. So what's left for humans? It's a philosophical question. I'll leave you with that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Mulud. Thanks for your presentation. Mulud, your presentation was about AI promises, and we could see this through the presentation, very inspiring. We're going to move to Senegal. Mohamed Diang, how to scale AI initiative through community building. The stage is yours, Mohamed.
Hi everyone. Do you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Okay, got it.
Can
Thank
hear
you
you
so
very
much.
well. If you can share your presentation, that would be great. Or do you have presentation, Mohamed?
Yeah, I have one. Let me check it.
Where can I find it? If you can share.
Google Slide. Slide. Yes.
So for the audience, please just bear with us. We are going to share the presentation of Mohammed Tiang. Here we go.
Can you see it?
Yes, thank you very much, Mohammed.
Yes.
And
So
the stage is yours for the How to Scale AI initiative through community building. Thank you.
thank you so much for the introduction. So thank you so much for this initiative. I think that it's really interesting to know that we are working toward very specific initiative for the whole Africa. So thank you so much for the previous speakers about the insights they gave about the different topics. So I'm here today to speak about how to scale AI initiatives through community building. So my name is Mohamed Jan. I'm the president of Sen AI. I'm an entrepreneur and business developer from Senegal. Sen AI is a local community around AI. We launched March 2023. And since then, we have been building a community around AI. And currently, we are over 750. And currently, we are trying to do our maximum to order to educate and help entrepreneurs, students, and other people interested in this matter. So for the last 2 years, we have been building a lot of partnership and collaboration with local entities. First, we started with the Web3 era. So we started with an initiative called SendBlock. SendBlock is like Send AI, where we teach all this stuff related to the Web3, blockchain, NFTs. And that we launched in January 2022. And we have been doing a lot of workshops, seminars around Web3. And this year, our plan is to do the same, but for AI. So we have been doing a lot of partnership in order to enhance the AI ecosystem and also educate maximum of stakeholders in this new area. So today my talk is about how to scale AI initiatives through community building. A little bit of history. So Sen AI we launched it on March 2023, exactly on March 4th. And in 7 weeks, we grow from 0 to 650. So it was a rapid growth because people were interested in knowing more about AI, but did not have all the tool or all the references to know exactly where to start with the AI journey. They heard about ChatGPT, but they did not know how to use it. So that's where I stepped in with my co-founder Mokhtar Sidibe to launch an AI and help people get on board on this AI revolution. So as you see in this diagram, you see it was a rapid growth, and it shows that they were interested in the AI ecosystem and AI tools in general. So that was an organic growth. So no ads, no paid influencer, just on WhatsApp. So we have a WhatsApp group where we have discussion, where we share news and everything related to AI. So it was an organic growth. So word of mouth, people were talking to their friend about this initiative, and that's how we grow up to 750. And currently, for the last during the last month, we get people from all over Africa. So we have people inside from Ivory Coast, we have people from Mali, Niger. So it's not only for Senegal anymore. So now you can say that it's going on other regions, And that's the reason why I saw that maybe it is an opportunity today to build an African community around the AI. What did we learn from this experience? So there is a possibility of a network of AI community if we use the right tool and communicate the right way. What I have noticed for the last 2 years is a lot of people say that maybe we can have to build like Discord server or Telegram communities in order for us to onboard the next tech people in Web3 and AI. But definitely, what I have noticed is people are not as tech savvy as we are. So sometimes the best way to communicate with them is through WhatsApp groups because that's where they are and the solutions they use every single day. Send block is currently 350 people inside a WhatsApp group, and Send AI is 750. So people are really engaging in the WhatsApp group, and so that there's a possibility to onboard maximum of people around. We are going to 1,000 members in our WhatsApp group, and that's the maximum we can have. And from there, we can see other solutions like WhatsApp in order to grow our community in Africa. So what I see sometimes from Pan-African initiative is that sometimes they adopt the top-down approach. It's like the government or some authorities have initiative and they try to push the initiative to the end users. And what I have been doing for the last 2 years is trying to adopt a down up opportunities so that they show that there is opportunities from users, and the user define the problem they have, and based on that problem we can define a solution for them. Like I said, the top-down approach, the government decide a new policy or initiative, then they invite all the local actors, and the local actors organize seminars, workshop in order to define a roadmap for a solution, and then they draft a summary of the key element to consider. After that, they create, delegate the organization, and deliver to an agency or ministry. This is a top-down approach I see often in local initiative, both in Senegal and in other countries. And sometimes at the end, you find out that there is one person who can decide that those initiatives will work or not. That's the end user. If during all those processes, we do not integrate end users, their need, their characteristics, everything related to them in those processes, you end up with a solution no one will use. So the basic stuff to start when you considering AI initiative, whether it's for regulation or tools or solution or communities, is knowing their characteristic, where they live, their sex, their religion, their revenue, what they want, and the obstacles they face. So based on that, based on our experience, what we have found out is you have different kind of end users. So you have the curious ones, the people who are just there to see how things are going. They will leave as soon as they can keep up with the community activities. So they are the majority of our members, both in SendBlock and SendIE. And they are just curious people who just want to know how things are going so far in this community. After that, you have solution seekers. Those will stay as long as they will find a solution to their problem within the community. So they are solution seekers, and they look for an opportunity to use a tool, a solution, or to network to enhance their professional career, for example. And at the top, you have enthusiasts. So they are the drivers of the communities. So they are entrepreneurs. They are community builders who are really passionate about the matter and really ready to share all the news, all the tools, all the references for the solution seekers and the curious people. And when it comes out to characteristics, you have different kind of parameters when you should consider a community. A community should be locatable. You should be able to say where they are. So in space, for example, a community locate from Senegal, a community from people in Nigeria, etc. So after that, you have to identify those people, be able to say their names, address, email, get all the information related to the members of those community. And at the top, you have to build a solution so that they can be reachable. So being able to send an email or being able to send them a message, for example, So those are the three parameters you have to consider when you have to build a community. When it comes down to the opportunities, so you have to start from the user. Like I said, define their characteristic, what they want, and the obstacles they face on those journey to solve their problem. Understand the role of each group, understand the role of the curious, understand the role of the solution seekers, and understand the role of the enthusiasts. Give them space and resources to operate. So those people do not need to be regulated, or government do not have to tell them what they have to do in order to build a community or to scale a community. They know the community, they know the tools they need, and government or agencies or other stakeholders just have to give them resources to operate and scale the initiative. And also, you have to know the key drivers. So the enthusiasts who are driving the communities in the local country, in the local initiative, so that you build a solution based on the key drivers on their inside. So, like I said, you have the enthusiasts who are generalists, entrepreneurs, investors, researchers who are really passionate about everything related to AI or tech community in general. You have the solution seekers, they are entrepreneurs or young professionals. You have curious people who are just interested in knowing more about everything related to some kind of technology. They are generally students and young professionals. And what is the strategy to scale or to develop a community worldwide, from Africa, in Africa in general? I think that the main strategy is to see in each country who has key players, and connect the key players in some initiative first to see how to learn from each other. For example, you reach out to key players in Senegal related to AI, and you connect them to key players in Ivory Coast, in Mali, or in Algeria, so that each other can learn from the different characteristics of the end users, and based on those characteristics, you can then connect the different countries who have the same realities, and connect them to other people, other countries who have a different reality. We know that the French ecosystem and the English ecosystem, I can say that like that, are very different in the kind of technology adoption. So this very good strategy is to start from the cluster who have the same realities, and then connect them with the other ones. And after that, the key players will do the groundwork of reaching out to the solution seekers and curious, and build the bridge between those different ecosystems. And once the bridge is done, you can connect them to the different ecosystem, and from there you can begin to scale the initiative to build an African community. And like I said, you with this strategy, you can build a community which is locatable, identifiable, but you cannot reach them without a platform. And that's where you have to build platforms to connect all the different initiatives, all the different communities, to have reachable communities. So from there, you have the possibility to contribute to open source projects. They can have educational resources, find out job opportunities, chat, and organize webinar. And from there, you have all the different characteristics from a community, and you can say from there that you have a strong and reliable community. The timeline for this execution is like, you have to build the community, the base community, with the key players first. Then you reach out to the solution seeker and the curious, and at the same time, you have to build the platform to scale this initiative based on the input you get from the community building initiatives. And at the end, what you try to reach out is like, you try to build the community as fast as possible, but you scale the platform as slow as possible, so that you can have a reliable and accessible solution based on the input of the different stakeholders. And what is the benefit of this approach is like, you have a scalable solution, a scalable approach. After that, you have a user. It's driven by the user first approach. It's like you base your solution, your approach on the user first. So you gather all the information from the end users, and you build a solution based on their need. After that, you have the fact that key players are drives initiative. So, like I said, you start with the key players because they understand the local community best, and you connect them through different seminars, workshops to discuss around what are the need for the different end users, and from there you scale it. And government institution provide the space, gives them space and resources to operate. So gives them space to organize seminars, workshop, travel, and everything related to the community building. After that, they maybe have some time to regulate and coordinate when necessary. It is just only when necessary, because sometimes excess of regulation inhibits everything related to innovation. So they just have to regulate and coordinate when necessary, but just not focus on that aspect, but gives them space and resources first. And to summarize everything related to government institution is like they have to step aside and let the key players do their thing. So because they understand the community, they understand their need, they understand the technology, they know how to approach the technology and how to build solution. So it's just gives them the space and resources to operate and build a solution for the end users. And it's like the neural networks in AI. You just have to build different clusters, and based on those clusters, you connect them to build one cluster for whole Africa, and you do that through leveraging networking and network effects. At the end of the day, it is something that will take time, because we have different countries, we have different ecosystem in Senegal, in Africa with different realities, and you have to adapt based on those different realities in order to build a solution that will suit everyone. So that was everything related to the subject. So if you have any question, please reach out to me and I will try to answer it. And if you have any other question, you can DM me at the Meta Boy on Twitter or Instagram or on LinkedIn, and we can share I share my experience from building local communities in Senegal. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. I think I'm going to ask everyone to be part of the stage. So Lavina, and then Heikel and Mulud. Thank you very much for everyone. As you see, Heikel, if you can take it over, I do have a meeting in parallel, or maybe Lavina. I'll just finish and we'll wrap up in like two minutes. But we do have a few questions that maybe we need to talk about. So here is the morning. Here's this morning, and then we have a few meetings. So we do have everyone here. I didn't miss anyone. Okay, Heikel, Mohammed, Lamin. Perfect. So we have a lot of people there thanking us about all the presentations. So thank you very much, guys. I'm going to put one of the questions maybe. So people, they're asking a lot about data. So one of the good question. Yeah, for example, this one for startups. Heikel, if you can answer this question. For startups, the big problem is data. How entrepreneurs can solve the problem of data, especially when it comes to open data. This is what the US is doing, like opening data for startup. And then when they have a proof of concept, that they can work with kind of a smart city or any e-government data. So Heikel, if you can answer to this question, or anyone, I mean, Mulud, the stage is open for everyone. I think it's good to enrich people with thoughts, with things that maybe we can share with everyone. Lavina, if you want to answer, you can start. Ladies first, always.
Thank you so very much. Firstly, I must just say everyone's presentations and conversations were so spot on, and quite inspiring as well. Not just only looking at one perspective, and this is another indication of the diversity that we actually have within the continent. So thank you to everyone. In terms of data itself, it is absolutely a problem. Something I've been advocating for a few years is actually having something that is similar to a Snowflake or some data repository that we can actually have just for Africa. That becomes quite a key sort of mover for us in the space, right? I think during the talk, I also alluded to the fact of how poor our current representation is. For example, in healthcare, it's at like 2% of African data that is actually captured. So again, room for us to sort of do a lot in that space. And, in terms of the conversation around open data versus, one that's not, we're in a position where we need to kind of know what we're dealing with, and we don't have an idea yet. So for me, having an open, accessible sort of ecosystem is going to really unlock not just things for the startups, but things for, governments. It's going to unlock things for big tech. It's going to unlock things for corporates alike within the space. And I think, us as digital citizens, if we're all focusing the sort of narrative towards us as a consumer, and we're driving what data gets generated and when and how, then that becomes a one where an open ecosystem where everyone has the transparency and one viewpoint is absolutely crucial. And I think it avoids for the replication of data, in closed ecosystems. And that's something I don't think within an Africa context we can afford, is the duplication that currently exists. But I'll stop there and I'll hand over back. Heikel, maybe you want to go next?
Yes. I saw a question about in the chat, so let me check. I think it was how we can provide data for entrepreneurs in Africa. So just I'm saying exactly where it is. So the question was, yes.
So I can read it out for you. It says for startups, the big problem is data,
yes,
and how entrepreneurs.
Data.
That's
so
it.
for me, the first thing is to connect directly to the universities, because most of them, they have their database, and they have their R&D with their PhD, a lot of doctors. So they need exactly to practice, to develop their data with the machine learning or deep learning algorithm, on to help this entrepreneur. The data is everywhere. You just need exactly how to find it. For the startups that we help, the first thing is to connect directly to the universities first, on some companies. For example, in health tech, the biggest laboratory, the big farms, they have a lot of data, and we can like sign a convention or a partnership on. It's a win-win solution. We need the data as a startup, and they need to manage their data, not to control it, but to preserve it, and to take in charge all the requests from their targets. But and I talked a few days ago with Lamin about the ethics things. I'm sorry, I'm at the airport, so
No problem, Heikel. I can take it from there. But thank you very much, guys. So I'm back from my meeting. Sorry.
Okay, I would like to add something.
Sure, Lamin, go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead.
yes. So thank you, Lavina. Thank you, Heikel. So just about the data, it's something very, very crucial. So the problem in Africa is we don't have access of data. So for example, I can give the example of the trade register or the company register. So if we can have access of this kind of data, it will permit to develop more strong AI. For example, if we can access to this kind of data, and if we can have access to the data of the jurisdiction, of the data of the statistic agency. So last week I was seeking for an study in Senegal on the field of the number of students who leave schools with diploma without getting jobs. So it was impossible to find studies or to find statistics, but studies and statistics on this subject have been done on the Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Statistics, but they don't want to give there's data. So the main problem, the data exists in some extent, but we have to find solution so that the institution or organization which hold this data can give the access to the data. It's very important for us.
Thank you very much, Lamin. This is very helpful. I will share with you a project that I was working on in Algeria. Actually, you know, Algeria is very known for the dates, especially the date Deglet Noor. I don't know if you tried it when you were in Algeria, but it's one of the best dates. Maybe because I'm Algerian, but I love the Glitnor. So because I love the Glitnor, and I worked with one of the scholars, Algerian scholars, his name is Professor Bilgasim Habba, who is from the south of Algeria, where we have the palms, a lot of palms in the Glitnor. And so we created the artificial intelligence application to actually recognize, like we take a picture, we have a lot of type of dates. One of them is the Glitnor. The Glitnor is known. But other dates or the palms, it's a little bit, even for people who are working, like people working in agriculture, sometimes they are confused. So we created the application to do recognition of the palm, what's the type of the palm, and then the idea is to recognize the disease of the palm. So and this is why we are struggling with the production. So this has an impact in production. So we created this application to recognize what type, what's category. We have more than 200 categories of palms in Algeria, or type of dates in Algeria. So when you scan it, you understand which type, and then you understand what if it's healthy or not. If it's not healthy, what's exactly the disease? There's one known disease, which the name is Bayud, but there are a lot of other diseases. So what we did, we didn't wait for data coming from someone. What we did is we went to the desert and we take the 50,000 pictures. This was the data set. And we took the picture one by one, and then we validate the pictures to have the same resolution to be trained in the model. And this is my advice to everyone. If you don't have the data, don't wait that your government will give you the data. Just create your data set, depending on what you are working on. I know that there is a lot of privacy in other data, especially when it comes to healthcare. Even in a project of healthcare, we worked in a healthcare project of how to detect jaundice in Algerian babies. Especially, you have only 48 hours that you need to detect that the baby has jaundice or not. If not, that is going to have some defect on the brain. So we just went to a specific hospital, talked to the doctor. They know that it's a big problem. So to solve it, they need some assistance from AI application to take a picture of the baby and understand that the baby has jaundice or not. So it's about the passions, and then don't use it as a justification to delay your project. If you don't have a data set, maybe you are the generator of the data set. Maybe this data set doesn't exist. I'm not talking about anything else coming from the government. There you need to talk to it. And it's difficult anyway. If you want to build some specific application where you are expecting data coming from open data, then you expect some delay for your project, and maybe someone else is going to take this project. In the US, it's completely different. Everything is digitalized. There's no problem, and there is a good presentation. If maybe next conference we are going to talk about digitalization, la numérisation. It's very important because this is the step that is going to prepare for the artificial intelligence process. It's kind of specific life cycle, very comparable to the software engineering, which means that in software engineer, you are not linked to the data. You are linked to the variables. When you create your algorithm, you don't need to have some data. For artificial intelligence software, you need the data. This is like 70% of your process. Anyway, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, just I want to add my input. There is another good question. Nordin is saying, how does artificial intelligence help Africa achieve sustainable development, reduce the food and energy crisis, etc., in the horizons of 2030? Thanks for your important topic. Thank you very much, Nordin. I would say this is Lavina, or maybe Mulud, or maybe Mohammed, or Lamin. So who wants to take the question?
Well,
I can if nobody else wants to. Gentlemen, anyone?
Go ahead, Lavina. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. This is actually quite a crucial question, right? Because it's something I touched on earlier on, which is we have a target by 2030 that states that we will possibly be importing more food than we actually produce from an Africa context. So sustainability is really important. Looking at the entire life cycle of food becomes even more important. So, from the time we grow something to the time we fully consume it, and even it decomposes, that entire life cycle is something we need to really pay close attention to. And I think technology can assist along the way on all the different areas, whether we're talking about food supply and the supply chain, whether we're talking about just the growth and the sustainability and the production of food itself, or whether or not we're talking around, the consumption of it. And I think they're very different sort of areas. But again, I think there's two examples I'll give you. One is, and forgive me if you've heard this example before, but involved with a project around refugees. And literally what we did was we went in and we studied the environment, understood what they needed, came up with an app. This app allowed them not only utilization of the smartphones, but it was always also working off USSD. What it allowed them to do was literally go and walk into restaurants and pick up excess food. Okay, so that meant that automatically they are included in society. Automatically you get homeless people and refugee people that feel that they are part of the wider picture. Not only did it reduce the wastage of food, but it also then allowed people to feel human. Okay, and this is the kind of examples that we talk about in terms of impact for Africa. Another example, and this is something that I personally would love to see, and it's a project of mine that I am trying, as we all do in our little ways to kind of make the difference. And for me, it's one where we kind of see a real-time dashboard view, okay, of food within Africa, and where it is in real time, what's happening to it, which countries are in deficit of or in need of food supply, which aren't, which has oversurplus. So for example, if Zambia has an oversurplus of avocado and South Africa has a shortage of it, it makes sense for it to come from Zambia to South Africa rather than it coming from the likes of Europe or from the likes of the US or wherever else, right? So again, it's like, how do we satisfy the base problem needs within Africa to really circumvent the real issues on the ground, right, in the shortest space of time? And as we gravitate more and more into the space of real time, I think these things become really important. So even if we start off with something really simple as a dashboard view of, maize, right? One of the largest consumed things across the continent. Or perhaps we start with some form of a vegetable that is really common across the continent. These are the smaller things that we can start doing right now with the use of technology. The other sort of areas where technology adds a lot of value add is in terms of the prediction of crop. So like we know that the weather and climate change has had such a tenfold sort of exposure in terms of determining what we're going to harvest, right? So in that itself, we can allow for these models to exist, whether they exist from a bank perspective, so a bank that actually has to issue out the loans in terms of agricultural loans, or whether or not it's actually small SMME farms that are starting to communally get together and develop something like that can be then supported. It becomes easier. So one is always in Africa we have like the commonality problems, which is affordability and accessibility. And again, I think it's no different in the agricultural space. So I hope that helped.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was great. I love your passion, Lavina, about how you are like. I love it, and I'm really proud that you are part of this team. Like everyone. Mudu, do you want to add something? Go ahead, Mudu.
Yes, I mean, I don't have much to add. I mean, Lavina has nailed it as usual. And that's another reason why we need our own, I mentioned we need our own data sets in Africa. We cannot rely on data sets with different signatures because they won't help us. You mentioned the issue of developing more resilient crop varieties, for example, and using AI algorithms for that. But for that to happen, we need large amounts of data. And again, this has to be local, original data. We cannot rely on data from other parts of the world. So I think it's very important if you want to provide actionable insights for farmers, such as when to plant, when to spray, when to harvest, and in order to optimize the results.
Yeah, that's amazing. Go ahead, Mohammed.
So when it comes to question, maybe we can have a focus on entrepreneurs, because at the end of the day, the entrepreneurs are the one who want to build solutions or products. So when it comes to building a solution or a product, there are three different parameters. You have the time, you have the cost, and you have the quality. And now with AI, you can reduce your time, your go-to-market time. You can have a better quality and in less cost. So it is a real solution for someone who's gonna go fast on the market and who wanna test the market and who gonna iterate on the product. So if you are an entrepreneur willing to know if you have a solution for a product, you try to use AI in order to develop your product, your services. If you want to build a landing page, now there is solutions where you can build a landing page in less than 5 minutes. And if you want to build a different solution related to testing a market, whether it is for sustainable development, for this food or energy, something like that, at the end of the day, you try to build a solution for end user. So the time you have your solution is now reduced, and you can definitely have a quicker go-to-market strategy and learn from your end user, and at the same time you can iterate and build a real solution. So it is a really practical tool for someone who's going to want to build quick solution with less cost. And we know that sometimes solution can be expensive, and I think AI is an opportunity to build much quicker and reliable solution with less expenses, if I can say that like that.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. I think Lamine, this question is for you. Tawfiq Khadran, thank you very much for your questions. What are the potential ethical and legal challenges that Africa may face in implementing artificial intelligence technologies? Hopefully, people that are not using ChatGPT to ask questions, guys.
That's a good point.
Go ahead, Lamine. Go ahead.
Okay, so it's a very, very interesting question. So I think we have to put in place our own set of ethical value and principle according to our culture, our religion, and our way of our vision of the world. So it's very, very important because the way things are going in the Western countries is not the way that we expect from us, from our for our children and something like that. It's that's why it's very important to ask where will would like to go. So what is our core value, our core principle? So it's something that we cannot do at one time. It's something that we have to discuss with other stakeholders. So I think the potential challenges, ethical and legal challenges, are the same as the other countries, but we have the advantages in Africa to be at the beginning of the process. That's mean we are not in late, so we can construct things as we imagine, according to our ethical value, our cultural principle, and etc.
Thank you very much, Lamin. Thank you very much. We do have another question. What are the challenges that AI startups in Africa are facing? It's a very open and very good question. I'm going to add it. I'm receiving some messages from everyone here. So this is the question, and I think, Heikel, I'm trying to distribute the questions like that everyone can have. I know, Heikel, you are the airport, and I can recognize what like
What
the
are some
boutique
of
that
the
you have
challenges that
behind.
AI startups in Africa face? The first thing is to solve our problems. The first is the infrastructure. So if our startups can help our Gulf, the university, to help to fix the local problem, that's we teach them that AI, it's a very good innovation, very good technology. So we talk about ethics, we talk about a lot of things. But for me, the first challenge is how we can help locally the problem, and we can fix the problem locally. And to combine, for example, in South Africa, in Senegal, we can combine with the field, industry, health tech, ed tech, and it's important to share the experience. So the challenge is, I think the organization like Smart Africa talk about it and try to do their best to help the continent. But we, as African, we have to be more involved. And the challenge is first to detox our ego, me first, and to help the people inside. So, for example, in Tunisia, to South Africa, to Senegal. So the challenge for the startup is to fix the problem, to find some funding is very important to develop their idea, and to combine, the win-win market. For example, as I said before, universities, we can share the experience with some companies inside. There are a lot of data, and it's not about fear, the data, if we can share it or not. It's how we can communicate, how we can use the data to have the same target on the same goal. But the challenge for me is to fix the problem, trying to find a finance way, like some business angel, but for Africa, not only for countries or for a region in Africa, but in with a macro vision, and to not to control, but to adapt AI with our percept and principle, as Lamin, Lavina, Muhammad, and Mulud said, and you too, Mulud. So this is the big challenge, and to teach the people to know how they can use the AI and how they can share the experience. You know, it's like a marathon. So we need to be more close each other. On a challenge, it's not a challenge. It's not one challenge. There are a lot of challenges. So we can't fight against all these challenges. We have to be more close to find the solution, and to give another picture of AI in Africa. That's why we are here today, and that's why we have to continue our discussion on to find like a way for African startup in the field of AI.
Thank you very much, Heikel. Anthony, hopefully people that are asking question, please tell us which country in Africa or outside of Africa you are based or located. Should we be concerned about the source of funding for AI projects and solutions in Africa? And second question, what kind of collaboration should we develop across borders and markets, etc.? Who would like to take this question? And with the respect of your time, this is going to be the last question. We do have a lot of questions, but we need to set.
I can give the first answer about the should we be concerned about the source of funding for AI project and solution in Africa. So be careful because we as African we attract not I can say foreigners, but European organization, US organization try to finance the African project. The most important and the first data is our brain. So we have to manage our brain because if we are connected, we can do something. And the source of funding of AI for AI, it's university. We have a lot of VCs and billionaire African billionaire they are interested to invest in the startups with AI projects. And to be clear, because in each country, for example, we work with 18 countries in Africa. We can found for each country a VC or business angel that he is or she is or it's interested by the startup ecosystem. So if we need to be more open-minded and to give them the plan, the roadmap, like what we want to do, what we want to develop, and which market we want to target to.
Thank you very much, Heikel. Anthony is from Lagos, Nigeria. So we have people from Nigeria, from Zambia, from Zimbabwe, from Djibouti, from oh my goodness. So this is amazing. It's great. I love it. I love it. This is the maybe we are at like 15 countries from Africa who just show their location. It's amazing. I think the second question is also very very good. Who want to take the second question from Anthony from Nigeria? And hi to all people from Nigeria. Go ahead, Lamin.
Okay, so just a second part of the question. So what kind of collaboration? I will give you just a little story about a few days when I joined the Sen AI community. So I was wondering tools for making for making audio books. So audio books. And because we had on our production line a very outdated tool. So when I asked the question in the WhatsApp group, I was very impressed by the tools they proposed me. And when I make the research for the tool, I see at what extent our technology is outdated. It's one of the challenge that we face. So at the first time, at the same time, it's permit us to update our technology, and at the same time we realize that another innovation in which we have been working about 5 years, it's ebooks for blind and visually impaired people, and we see that we can do the same thing with this AI tool in few minutes. It's very impressive. So it's a kind of collaboration. So we can do within a country and within the continent. So I think there is a lot of possibilities to do in terms of collaboration. So we have to see each other, and the rest will come.
Inshallah. Yeah, this is what we say in Algeria, inshallah. Another question for Lavina. Maybe I need to take it. I know that I said that this, Anthony, is going to be the last question, but this is a very good question. What are some of the success stories of AI startups in South Africa, for example? Lavina, South Africa.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, there's been quite a few distinctive ones of late. I can give you some examples that I've come across. One being around the predictive behavior of default in credit. So preempting someone on the basis of whether or not they will default, whether that is from a banked or unbanked environment, which is really important in terms of the context of Africa. So that would be one. Another one is in terms of the healthcare field, and that is, around the scanning of X-rays at a faster rate. And that is, whether it is tuberculosis, whether it is around, those sort of respiratory sort of infections. We've seen quite a good uptake on that. Another example within South Africa in particular, we've seen is the whole conversational AI being utilized. Another one is in the ed tech. This is funny enough, it was actually developed before ChatGPT became really famous, and it's called, it's an educational platform. So I don't know whether I'm supposed to give names or not. So Doc, please just keep me in check. I don't want to do unnecessary promotions. But yeah, so another one was in the edutech space, where they developed, an AI via WhatsApp, which really allowed students to, niche their studying, which was very engaging. And that's still very successful at this point. I think they're in conversations with the government to actually having it adopted. So again, I've kind of seen a widespread in SA alone, but equally so, I've seen a lot across the continent. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lavina. Really, we appreciate your answer. I want just to talk about the kind of what are the challenges for AI startups in Africa facing, maybe adding, I think Heikel, answer to all the questions. But from my perspective, I see that challenges in AI startups, it's of course the data. There's a lack of access to the data. There's a lack of funding, and there's a lack of infrastructure. And this is why the strategy of AI in Africa, we need to be based on these things in infrastructure. When we talk about infrastructure, data centers, and internet access, funding, we need to find a solution where we need to talk more about private, not the government. Of course, we need to start with the government. And this is what we saw here in Silicon Valley, creating Silicon Valley ecosystem, who maybe replicating the ecosystem of Silicon Valley as an example. Here Silicon Valley started with the government, and then the private sector took over after that. Skilled talent, we need to talk about this. We have a lot of brain drain, and this is the big problem. In Africa, we have a lot of brain drain, especially when it comes to artificial intelligence. People who are really, really good in artificial intelligence, they are outside of Africa. But at the same time, it's the solution. If we can reverse this to make these people getting back to Africa, to their country, and develop AI with all the experience that they have outside of their continent or their country, this can be a good solution too. Skilled talent is kind of tricky, but at the same time is very, very powerful. There is a problem, and at the same time, it's the solution. And I think that the opportunity that AI startups in Africa, it's the large and growing market. Africa is going to be next. It's time for Africa. A young and entrepreneurial population. We have a lot of, in Algeria, for example, we are talking about 65 to 70% youth. They are young. They have ideas. They want to develop things, and I'm 100% sure that we see the same thing in any country in Africa. A government that is supporting of innovation, and we could see it in Algeria. I don't know what's the situation with different other countries, but I think it's time to support this innovation, to work with the government, trying to create incubators, accelerators, getting some grant for the government and loans to create their application, their startup, their idea, venture capital firms, technical support from companies like big sharks on artificial intelligence. I'm talking about Google, IBM. I know that there is a center of artificial intelligence research and development in Accra in Ghana. This is the first from Google. I know that other companies, they are really interested in opening something similar in any country in Africa. Success stories, I would say, things that I know that Jumia is one of the companies. It's a Tunisian company, and Heikel will be proud and very happy with this. It's an e-commerce company that it's operating in 14 African countries using artificial intelligence technology. I think it's one of the maybe best success story. We need to talk about it, Lavina. We need to promote this because they are African and they are developing things in Africa. So thank you very much for all these people that they're trying to develop things. I think this is the last. I don't know, Mulu, do you want to add something? Mulu, do you have been a little bit quiet?
Yeah, I mean, you said it all. I think it's both a challenge and a solution. And I think AI can become the great equalizer for Africa, like, leveling the playing field for us in Africa. And having all this talent outside of Africa is just about us attracting them back to their countries to create opportunities for with Africans, and that could be, again, the great equalizer. So I believe in that.
Yeah, I believe in that too. Mohammed, do you want to add something? Maybe the last word about this AI for Africa Conference 23 virtual event, and hopefully the first one in its kind, and then hopefully we'll meet somewhere in Africa for the second conference. Go ahead, Mohammed.
So first, thank you so much for the invitation. I think that it is a great initiative for that, so we can work together and see how we can build solution for Africa. And also, thanks. I want to thank everyone for the wonderful insight. I really learned a lot of stuff related to the AI, and I think that, like I said, we have to build communities, because at the end of the day, if we do not break the barrier related to the different countries and communities, we will not have a really Pan-African ecosystem. So I really believe in the power of community, and I think that that's the first step. And then at the end of the day, like I said in a preview in a podcast, if we have to wait for government, we're gonna wait forever. But if we build something and show them that we have the possibility and the capacity to build something, they will follow up fast. And that's why I tell to entrepreneurs, to students, and to young professionals to learn the basis of the AI and try to build something and learn from the experience of the field. And from there, they will convince investors, entrepreneurs, other entrepreneurs, or government, and show them something they have built. And from there, they can say that I need this solution in order for me to scale or to build a solution for Africa. And I truly believe in the power of build community, and I think that this conference is the first step towards that Pan-African ecosystem. Thank you so much for everyone.
Thank you very much. Lamine, do you want to say something before finishing? And please, I'm asking everyone to stay because I'm going to stop the live when we are done, but we can be on the backstage just to discuss what's going to be next, and then everyone can be free after this. So go ahead, Lamine.
Okay, so I would like to thank each of you for your great presentation. So it was a very, very productive moment of exchange. I hope we will do so next. So thank you, Murad, for taking this leadership, and thank you, Lavina, thank you, Mulud, thank you, Mohammed, and thank you, Aikel.
Thank you very much, Lamine. And yeah, by the way, Lavina shared the logo of AIFA. Please take your time and then do a like or just select one of one of the logos that Lavina shared. Like this, we'll add it as our official AIFA. Mulud.
Thank you for inviting me, and I'm really honored to be part of this incredibly talented group of people from across Africa. And I believe we can attract even more talented people to this group and make it happen and work together. Again, let's go Africa. Let's go.
Mulud, you are not invited. You are part of the team. Maybe you
Yes,
don't know.
but you invited me to be part of the team. So it's as the song says, it's time for Africa, right? Do you remember that song?
Yeah,
It's time for Africa. It's our time.
Time for Africa. Okay, I'm going to keep Lavina last, but not least. Heikel, go ahead.
So thank you, each of you on the participants from all the countries in Africa. We are very proud of you. Thank you. And we talk a lot, and we have now to do something, to create something together. We were interconnected, and now we are intraconnected, and we have to do something together.
Thank you very much, Heikel. Thank you, Lavina. AI Mom.
AI mom, there we go. So, I don't know if you guys celebrate Africa Month, but in South Africa, it's
Yeah,
quite
we
a
have
big thing. And, for us, we could not have chosen a better time to actually be having these conversations. That's number one. Secondly, thank you to every single person in whatever contribution you made, whether it was just pitching up, whether it was a question, whether it was a thought, whether it was the panelists, whether it was the organizing team. Like, everyone played their part. And this is the power of Africa, is the community, which I absolutely just love. And, to kind of finish off, it's probably, one of the sayings that I came across, and it kind of really always sticks with me, which is, I am Africa and Africa is me. And that is no truer when it comes to us as individuals or us and technology. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Lavina. And we could see the emotion. We are Africa, and we are Africa, and Africa is us. Thank you very much. And by the way, it's the month of Africa. It's because the 25th, which is yesterday, was the Day of Africa. And the Day of Africa, 25th of May. And this is why I was like trying to, and thank you for your help, trying to make it today to celebrate the Day of Africa. And hopefully this Day of Africa is going to be the start of a new revolution of AI in Africa. Thank you everyone for attending this meeting. Thank you, Lavina. Thank you, Heikel. Thank you, Mulud. Thank you, Lamin. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you all for your contribution. I hope that you found this discussion to be informative and thought provoking. And as we discussed, AI has the potential to transform Africa in many ways. It can be used to address some of the continent's most pressing challenges, like poverty, hunger, disease. It can also be used to create new jobs and opportunities for Africans, and we could see it through different success stories that we could see through the startups or companies. And we know that even a lot of government they are pushing for it. So of course there are also challenges that we need to address in order to realize the full potential of Africa, because there is a big potential of Africa and we need to take advantage of it. Another challenge is the lack of, as I said, the skilled talent that we need to work with them, either in Africa, outside of Africa. We need to put hands on hands, skilled engineers, scientists. We know that a lot of scientists, a lot of engineers that are doing success outside of Africa. We would like to keep them attached to their home country, their home continent. In Africa, we can do a lot of things. I would like to thank everyone. People that they were, on our live through social media, through Mubashir Silicon Valley, Algeria, even AI for Africa. I created the YouTube channel. You can go through it. I would like to thank the contribution of the founders of AIFA, the AI for Africa. I believe that we have made some important progress in understanding the challenges, opportunities of artificial intelligence in Africa, and I'm looking really forward to continuing this discussion in the future. Hopefully we are going to be in person somewhere in Africa and for Africa. Thank you very much. I appreciate your contribution. Thank you for all people who are watching us today. We have been like 350 live for YouTube. We got other people in other social media. We're almost hitting 700 live, and I'm expecting that this, as it's recording, this video is going to be recorded through different social media. We're expecting that it's going to be with a lot of views, a lot of impact in Africa. Thank you very much. Shukran jazilan. Merci beaucoup. And then we'll see you next, hopefully in person in Africa. So please stay with me. I'm going to end just the live. Thank you very much. See you for the
Bye-bye.
next.
See you next
Thank you.
time.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
See you next
Bye.
time. See you next time.
Okay, stay with us. Don't disconnect. I'm just going to end the